Hi guys, Teresa here, so I'm gonna give this a shot. Alright, so I did my observation and I interviewed Lily. Lily is a 7-year-old female. I believe it's 7 years, 8 months to be specific. And I evaluated her in 2 different settings. And the first one was on the 9th of February, and that was a non-testing session. And the second one was on the 11th of February, which was a testing session. So I interviewed Lily, as I said, and both times she was awake, lively, vibrant, and in good health. Like I said, she's 7 and she's in 2nd grade. Lily appears very small for her age, both in height and weight. Lily appeared to be a right-handed worker, and she had no problems as far as gait, motor ability, gross development. Her vision and her hearing functioned normally, and her speech and language seemed to be consistent, as you would expect them to be for a regular 7-year-old. So, February 9th, which was this past Thursday, I interviewed her from 9:30 to 10:30, and this was in Lily's normal classroom environment, which is a 1st and 2nd grade split. 1st grade desks are on one side of the room, and 2nd grade desks are on the other, and there's a whiteboard on both sides. It says 19 students in all. That's actually 20 students in all. I think the reason I put 19 in there is 19 plus Lily, so there's 20 in all. So there's 12 1st graders, and, I do say other students. So there is 19 other students and 20 in all. So there's 12 1st graders and 7 other 2nd graders. So this was during a junior achievement presentation, which was during community week at our school. So basically these college students came in to teach the kids and about community, citizenship, business, those kinds of things. And so the students participated in a series of whole class and small group activities. It was for the entire morning. However, this observation session, I just did an hour. Lily at first appeared to be very on task. Her eyes were on the speakers as they opened. She raised her hand very, very eagerly. You know how they kind of wave their hands in the air, calling me, calling me. She did that. And the answers she gave every time she was called on made sense. They pertained to the question being asked. Lily was asked what she wanted to be, for example, when she grew up, and she responded that she wants to be an engineer. There were 2 times that the observer noted that Lily leaned over and was whispering to her neighbor when she was supposed to be paying attention. After this, they returned to their work for a seat activity. At this point, Lily became very vibrant and excited. She eagerly discussed with the small group. She even began managing the assignment. She liked to assign roles to everybody else and kind of tell them what to do. And she didn't do it meanly, but she did kind of take control of the assignment. She seemed very eager to work on it and to do it correctly. She wanted everybody to do the best that they could do, and she was constantly encouraging others. So there were a group of 4 of them, 3 other 2nd graders and her. So after this, they had a timed activity they were supposed to do, and this was who could make the most. They had to design these donuts, and then they had to see who could make the most of them correctly in the amount of time given. So they had these little circles, and basically they had to put in flour and eggs and, I don't know, all the different ingredients on these little circles to make their donuts. At this point, Lily became very, very excited. She was constantly bouncing in her seat, kicking her feet back and forth. She looked at her group mates with a big smile and kept encouraging them, and she really wanted them to move fast. When the timer began, she worked quickly. She got a very serious look on her face, and she kept her eyes wide. She kept her eyes on her work the whole time and was repeatedly telling her partners to hurry. She did this in kind of a yell and was told a few times by the teacher that she needed to quiet her voice. After the activity was over, the 2nd grade side of the room, their noise level got really loud. The college students were on the first grade side of the room trying to get the class to discuss another topic. And the second graders on the opposite side of the room were way off task, including Lily. And they were talking with each other and not paying much attention. And so after the teacher told them twice to be quiet, the college students decided that they needed to move the second graders further up, closer to them on the rug that was on the first grade side of the room. So when they were told to do this, Lily stopped her talking. She quickly obeyed, and her attention refocused. However, during this session, she was a lot more fidgety. She rose to her knees, bouncing up and down on one leg. She began to slide closer to the speakers, and she was just always moving her body, even though her eyes were on the speakers. After this, the students were again redirected to their desks and began working on some sort of drawing activity, and this caused Lily to be quite a bit quieter. She worked much more individually and quietly. And then she became so engrossed in her work that when told to go to her seat, she looked up, so she knew that what she was told to do. However, she continued to work. And when she was specifically told individually by the teacher to get moving, she said, "Hang on, I'm almost done." She really didn't want to put down her work. She wasn't finished. So she took about 20 more seconds to comply, finished her drawing, and went to the rug. And on the way over to the rug, she walked over to the teacher and really wanted to show off what she had done, to show that she had done a good job. Overall, the observer noticed that Lily was very capable of the work she was being asked to do. She didn't seem to struggle with it. In fact, at times she seemed excited by it. She always gave a proper answer or produced a quality of the work that she was being asked to do. She was very quick to express herself verbally, and often she was talking too loud even, and was even told to be quiet. She excelled when she was giving a challenge that seemed to really excite her. Also, one of the things that the observer noticed is the more distance that was put between the speaker and Lily, the more she seemed to talk, especially when she wasn't supposed to. And the longer that the speaker spoke, the more she became restless. She really seemed to need to move, and she was often fidgeting or rocking around back and forth. So that was the first session. For the second session, Lily was observed in her own her own dining room. There was no one else there except the examiner and Lily, and there were pets nearby, but they didn't get in the way. They didn't make much noise, so it was pretty quiet. It was well lit, and the temperature was comfortable, and they sat at the dining room table in wooden chairs. Prior to the assessment, Lily appeared very eager for testing to begin. She bounced and ran around. She asked when the test was going to start. She constantly exclaimed how excited she was. She laughed and she giggled. So she was very eager to take the test. In fact, in the beginning, the examiner took a couple minutes to make sure she knew what she was doing and reacquainting herself with the directions. And Lily was rocking on her chair. She was trying to play with the easel, trying to start it by flipping the pages. When she was told not to touch the easel, she sighed and said, "Okay." So during the beginning of the test, Lily quickly gave her answers. The beginning seemed very easy for her, and she said the answers as fast as she could. She kept exclaiming to herself that she was doing a good job and she hadn't gotten any wrong. And she was very excited that she was doing so well. Her eyes stayed focused on the easel, and she kept moving her hand to try to turn the pages quicker than the examiner could. When Lily finally did come to an answer she didn't know, she said, "I forget. I give up. Does that affect my grade?" So she seemed very concerned with how well she was doing, but she was willing to admit that she just didn't know the answer. After being reassured that it wasn't graded, she smiled again and was ready to move on. She remained focused on the entire test. However, even for whenever there was a brief lapse in time, like while pages were being flipped, or we were moving to, or the examiner was moving to a different part of the test, she would move her whole body. Once she fell down on the floor, started rolling around. Another time she got up and began dancing. During the testing, she often chewed on her eraser or moved her fingers around her chin and lips as she pondered the harder questions. She didn't seem to get discouraged by the ones she didn't know, but she often asked what her score was. She completed both of the age-appropriate parts of the K-bit, and then she went on to the motor part of the Beery VMI. She did the motor part of it, but when she came to something that just seemed completely too hard to her, she didn't even want to try. She said, "Oh, I'm done," and she didn't want to move on, which was okay because she hadn't done well on the 3 before it, so it was time for her to stop anyways, and she seemed to know that. But she didn't want to push herself beyond that. She often would evaluate how she was doing out loud to herself. She would often give herself encouragement out loud. She remained on task throughout the testing, but as I said, she would move any second she got in the middle. However, she always refocused quickly and was ready to move on as soon as the examiner was ready. Lily was very cooperative and attentive throughout the whole process, and she appeared to be very comfortable with the examiner and appeared to also be enjoying the time that she had with her. So that is the end. I had a good time working with this particular student, and it was fun to begin the observation and testing, and she seems very willing, which is why I specifically chose her. I had another student in mind, and I chose her specifically because I knew she'd be willing to do it. And so here's my questions to leave you with. From hearing about both sessions with Lily, what can you see as being difficult for her throughout the regular school day, or while being assessed for a long period of time, such as often occurs with standardized testing? So what did you notice that may be a possible problem for her? And what do you think could be done to help Lily do the best she can in these types of situations? So, thank you for watching my video. I've got to figure out how to stop it now. All right. Thank you.